There's a quiet hum beneath the chaos of our lives, a subtle vibration we rarely pause to hear. It's the sound of our own existence, whispering truths we often drown out with noise, distraction, and the endless pursuit of belonging. Picture yourself in a room full of voices, laughter, chatter, the clinking of glasses, and yet a hollow ache gnaws at your chest. You're surrounded, but the deepest parts of you feel unseen, untouched, as if you're a stranger in your own story. This isn't just about physical isolation, it's a rift within, a disconnection from something vital we can't quite name. Carl Jung, a mind who peered into the shadows of the human soul, saw this not as a flaw, but as a call, a signal pointing us toward the uncharted depths of who we are. We live in a world that worships the outward, the bright lights of connection, the applause of the crowd, the validation of being known. But what happens when the spotlight fades and we're left staring into the mirror of our own silence? Jung believed that some of us, those who drift toward solitude, aren't running from life but chasing something richer. They're the explorers of the inner cosmos, diving into a realm where the unconscious murmurs secrets the conscious mind can't grasp. Think of the self, not as the polished face you show the world, but as a vast, untamed wilderness. Jung taught that it's split, part light, part shadow, stretching beyond what we see into the echoes of forgotten memories and ancient symbols etched into our bones. To become whole, he said, we must bridge these worlds, stitching together the seen and unseen. For many, this stitching begins in solitude, where the noise falls away and the soul's quiet voice grows loud. Have you ever sat alone? No screens, no voices, just you and the weight of your thoughts? In that stillness, something stirs, fears you've buried, dreams you've shelved, rising like ghosts from a restless sea. Jung called this individuation, the slow, sacred unraveling of who you truly are. It's not a retreat from the world, but a descent into it, a journey that demands courage to face what hides in the dark. The loner, often painted as broken or aloof, might just be the one who's most alive. They step away not to escape, but to listen, to wrestle with the parts of themselves society begs them to ignore. We're taught to fear the shadow, the doubts, the rage, the imperfections we lock away. Yet Jung saw it as a teacher, a guide that once faced reveals a strength we didn't know we had. Imagine a painter, alone with their canvas, or a writer hunched over a flickering lamp. Solitude doesn't stifle their genius, it sets it free, letting ideas bloom from the soil of silence. History whispers of these solitary souls, Thoreau by his pond, Woolf in her room, who turned inward and returned with gifts for us all. Their isolation wasn't emptiness, it was a crucible, forging insight from the raw ore of thought. But this path isn't painless. The quiet can sting as much as it heals. To sit with yourself is to sit with everything, the beauty and the bruises, the hope and the haunting. Jung knew this tension well. He'd retreat to his stone tower, carving symbols into rock as if to anchor his revelations. For him, solitude was a forge where the unconscious hammered out truths too vast for words. What if we stopped seeing alone as lonely and started seeing it as alive? What if those moments of withdrawal were the sparks that light the fire of who we're meant to be? The world pulls us outward, scrolling feeds, ringing phones, 1,000 voices clamoring for our gaze. Yet in the pause, in the breath between, we find a space where the self can speak. Creativity doesn't thrive in the clamor. It whispers in the gaps, in the stillness where the mind roams free. The loner knows this, carving out corners of quiet to hear what the crowd can't. But there's a catch. Solitude can cradle you, and it can cut you. The same silence that births insight can echo with a longing for connection, a hunger for someone to understand. Jung saw this too. Loneliness isn't just being alone, it's feeling unseen, even by yourself. The loner's challenge is to bridge that gap, not to abandon their solitude, but to weave it into something shared. Have you ever tried to voice a thought so deep it defies language, only to watch it dissolve in the air? This is the loner's paradox. Their inner world burns bright, yet it's a flame others rarely see. Still, Jung offered hope. Not every bridge needs words. Some are built through art, through presence, through the quiet kinship of souls who feel the same weight. The loner doesn't need a crowd, just a thread, a tether to those who glimpse the same abyss. Society labels them outcasts, but what if they're pioneers? What if their retreat is a rebellion against a world that skims the surface, a refusal to settle for less than truth? We're all split, Jung said. Introverts gazing inward, extroverts reaching out. Yet both are searching for the same thing. The loner simply chooses the road less traveled, a path that winds through silence toward meaning. Balance is the key, a dance between the self and the other, between the hush and the hum. Too much solitude can hollow you out, but too little leaves you lost in the noise. Jung's individuation isn't about isolation, it's about integration, melding the fragments of who you are into something whole. For the loner, this might mean embracing their quiet while still letting others in, a little at a time. Think of your own life. When did silence last feel like a friend? Those moments, fleeting as they are, might hold the seeds of a clarity you've been chasing without knowing it. You don't need a cabin in the woods or a tower by a lake. Solitude lives in the margins. A walk, a breath, a pause before the day begins. It's less about where you are and more about where your mind goes when the world falls away. Try this. Sit with a pen. Let your thoughts spill onto the page. No filter, no rush. Jung did it. And in those scribbled lines, he found threads of the unconscious weaving into light. Or breathe, just breathe, and watch your mind unfold, a map of shadows and stars. These small acts of stillness can crack open doors you didn't know were closed. But don't stop there. Carry what you find into the world, a gift forged in solitude's fire. The loner's strength isn't in hiding, it's in returning, changed with something to offer. We're all loners sometimes, even in a crowd, yearning for a piece of ourselves we've lost. Jung's wisdom reminds us that this yearning isn't weakness. It's the pulse of a soul waking up. The collective unconscious, he said, binds us all. Archetypes humming beneath our skin, linking your solitude to mine. In our aloneness, we're never truly alone. We're part of something vast, something shared. So what does this mean for you right now as these words fade into silence? It means the quiet isn't your enemy. It's a mirror, a muse, a map to the person you're becoming. Embrace it, not as a sentence, but as a choice, a chance to hear what's been waiting to be heard. The loner's path isn't exile, it's a pilgrimage to the heart of what makes us human. And here's the twist. This journey doesn't end. It deepens, layer by layer, with every step you take inward. Jung left us tools, solitude, shadow, self, to build a life that's not just lived, but felt. As the noise of the world creeps back in, hold this thought. Your silence has a voice and it's been speaking all along. What will you do when you finally stop to listen? Tell me, what's the quietest truth you've ever heard within yourself, and what might happen if you let it guide you?